All right, I think we can start. So thanks for joining my session regarding Drupal and the AI agents. So we're going to see how we can implement the agents in our system using the AI module from Drupal and the. Sure. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, it's better now. Okay, cool. So we're going to see how we can integrate the agents into our Drupal system using the AI module and the AI agent modules that provide the frameworks to build effective tools and agents. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Vincenzo Gambino. I'm a Drupal developer from London, as you can guess from my British accent. Well, there is a reason behind that. It's because 15 years ago, when I started working with Drupal, it happens when I actually moved to London. So when I moved to London, my first IT jobs was junior developer Drupal, so my first experience started there. So my whole career has been built in London, UK. So that's why Vincenzo Gambino, the Drupal developer, comes from UK. And I love Drupal since then. I like to contribute back. I've done some code, but in the past few years, I found myself speaking at more and more Drupal events. I talk at usually Drupal camps, and for the first time at a DrupalCon. I'm also the contributor of the book Jamstack Development, when I explain how to build headless application using Gatsby and Sanity, then an Alexa skill with Sanity and the Amazon SDK, and also, of course, an headless application with Drupal and Gatsby. And I'm also the maintainer and the creator of the Umami demo with Astro and Drupal. So today we're going to talk about agents, so these magical creatures that can do anything. We're going to see how we can integrate it using the Drupal AI module and the AI agents. Then, after all the theory, we'll start to see some code. So we'll actually build 3 tools, and then will be assigned to an agent and then to an assistant API, and then we'll use the chatbot to give an interface to the user. And if everything works correctly, then we should see the demo. So let's start with the AI magical creatures. So that basically they can do anything. They can connect to any services. They know everything about you. They can get data from anywhere. They can do lots of tasks. And now they're becoming more magical. Actually, the LLM is becoming more magical because the SEO of Anthropic had just a great idea. So he wants to implement a quit button for the AI. So the AI can decide if it wants to do the task or not. So basically, if I want to plan a holiday in south of Italy, the AI ChatGPT can reply, no, I'm not telling you any location because if you don't get any holiday, you don't get holiday too. So, but this is not the case. It wants just to see how the AI reacts on repetitive tasks. It wants to measure the AI experience. And also in his interview, he talked about the future of coding. So saying that most of the company are now using AI-generated code, and and basically the developers are now supervising the code, so just checking that everything works fine, debugging and optimizing the AI-generated outputs. So this basically we're seeing a lot of changes in the AI. So every day there is something new. There is a company that does something better. And this reminds me of a scene from a movie. There is something about Mary. Basically, this scene where basically each hiker is proposing, he has a great idea, where he wants to beat the 8 minutes abs training, just doing the 7 minutes abs training. Yes, it's a great idea until someone comes out with another idea, which is the 6 minutes training. So this is because at the moment, as I said, most of the company are just competing to each other. They're just doing everything a little bit better than the others. Even last week, the new OpenAI Assistant SDK came out. And basically, fortunately, I didn't do any slides on that. But when I sent last week my slides to Marcus and Jamie with my agents plugin, all the code and all the slides, they said, sorry, Winnie, but we are changing the way we're building the assistant. So now we use the function call. So I had to relearn all the function call, I had to redo the slides and the code, and etc. So I want to start first with the prompt, because the prompt are really important in an agentic system. So prompt is essentially the way you program the module, the way you ask a question to the model. So it can be a simple prompt, like just list 3 key benefits of the AI in education, or can be more complex, which is called prompt engineering, where here we are asking 3 key benefits of the AI in education, then we ask real-world example, and then we can describe how it can improve the learning experience of students and teachers. So the prompt engineering is important, in this case, in the way we ask something to the agent. So the prompt engineering is the practice of basically building effective writing effective instruction to the AI tool. So it helps the model to produce more accurate and relevant responses, and this leads then to getting more consistent and a high quality output from the language model. So why the prompt structure matter? Because the LLM understand better, are very clear with well-structured instruction. Even a small change in the phrase can change the output, also the meaning of the question. And it helps reduce the ambiguity and the focus on the model's reasoning, and then you can control the output. But how can we write a better prompt? So there is some rule. So we need to have a clear instruction on what task has to be done. We can provide some background or reference. So for example, in this case, we want to summarize an article. Then we provide some example of summarization. So we can say, I want to summarize this article in this style. Then we pass the data, so the article that we want to summarize. And then we can specify how we want the format. So we want just bullet points, or we want another word introduction with bullet points, with the key points, and then another 50-word final summarization. So this helps us control the input, the output, and it also has a benefit. A benefit especially because the agents are going to use loads of token. A token is basically, a token is a piece of text that has been parsed out for further processing. That means that when you ask a question, the system first will separate the whole prompt into tokens. You can see here how many characters there are and how many tokens. After that, it will basically change it into numbers, because the LLM does not understand English, do not understand Italian or Spanish, they understand numbers. So all the wording that has been produced into tokens, here, they will be converted into numbers. And then it will be passed to the LLM. Why we want to control the token? Because we have some limitation in the request and the response on the amount of token that we can send. I think the moment the limit is around 4K, 16K, depending on the modules that you are using. And then also because you are paying for each token that's been sent and received as well. So what are the AI agents and how do they work? So agents are full autonomous systems that can operate independently. And they want just a goal, they want to accomplish a task, and they will do. How they will do it? So we have this schema here. This is from an article from Anthropic. So we have the input, then we have the LLM that processes the input. And within the LLM, we can improve, enhance how it will basically generate the response, and will provide here retrieval system, which is basically a database where you can get the data. Usually is a vector database where we can give more context and more information, for example, about a company, about a FAQ, or about a product. And with this context, then we use the tool. The tool is actually the function that is going to execute the code, or it's going to call another function somewhere. So this is what we're going to build today. And then it also has the memory. So this is basically the chat history of the conversation that you had with the LLM. So every time that you send a message to ChatGPT, ChatGPT is a record. When it replies, is another record. So it builds up this array, all these messages sent and received, and this is the memory that it has. So now, because the AI world is always evolving, there is something new. So before we had these word agents, and now Anthropic came out with a new terminology. So we have the agentic systems here, and under the agentic system, we have workflow and agents. So the workflow is a system where the LLM and tools are basically orchestrated to predefine code. So we decide what to call and when. And while agents are more autonomous, will be the LLM that will decide which function to call and to use depending on the task that has been asked. So some example of workflow, we have this one, prompt chaining. So in this example, we have an input for a user that is asking to outline the document. Then we have here the gate, basically can decide if the task was accomplished or not. If yes, then it will pass the text to another call and will check if the outline meets the criteria. And then it will pass the call to another LM that will write the document based on the outline. This is done basically in code, so where you send a request, receive the code back, receive the response, then send another request, and again and again. So this is something done in code through a loop or something. Then we have the routing, where basically you have the input, and then you have the LLM to categorize the request. So for example, if it's a request for creating an article, then we have the LLM call for the article. So maybe we have a switch statement where we can decide, we say write an article, then we map the LLM call to that key. Also, we have parallelization. This is always a workflow. And basically where we have the input and then 3 calls will be done at the same time. For example, we write an article, we want to check the spelling, we want to moderate and translate to another language. All those can be done at the same time. And then at the end, we have the agents. The agents is where we have the interaction with the human. The LLM will start analyzing the prompt, the request, and it will start looping in the environment in itself to get the feedback, to see if it has accomplished the task based on the tools that it has available. So here, there should be a prompt here where basically says what the agent has to do. So we have just wording saying like you are an agent that has to create some node, then it will loop through all the tools, see which ones creates a node and use that one. And then it stops until it has accomplished the goal. So now we have some understanding of the agents, so we can go through the module AI and AI agents in Drupal. So in my demo, I have a Drupal 11 installation, the AI module installed, a provider. In my demo, I'm using OpenAI, and then the AI agent module that provides a framework to build agents in Drupal. So the version that I'm using are in dev, because it's a new thing. So I'm using 1.1 dev for all of them, for AI agents, and OpenAI provider. The modules I've installed are the AI core, OpenAI provider, AI agents, AI API assistants, chatbot, the API Explorer for testing the tools, and the AI Agent Explorer for testing the agents, and then the Google Calendar service, because I'm going to create an entry in my Google Calendar from Drupal. So first of all, we need to generate a key from OpenAI. So we go into our OpenAI account, we create new secret key. We give it a name, we copy the key. And then in Drupal, with the AI modules, we have also the key module that will create a key for authentication. So we create the key. After we have created the key, we go to the OpenAI authentication provider settings, and we can set our key. At this point, we are ready to use the AI in our Drupal system. So now let's see how we can go and create an assistant, a tool. So first, we need to understand how this system works. So we have the tools, which basically extends the agent's capabilities, and is not autonomous. It will be called by the agent, is invoked by the agents. Every time that it has to do a task, then it will call this tool. And while the agents are fully autonomous, it means that it will make a decision and plan based on the user prompt. So this is where the magic starts. So he will understand the tasks, and he knows what to do. He has a plan, and then we start calling the tools one by one. The AI assistant is basically a bridge between the agent and the interface, the user interface. Here we can add more agents and we can add more instruction. So this assistant can orchestrate more agents, while agents orchestrates more tools, and of course other agents as well. And then after that we can create the block, the AI deep chat chatbot, and we'll provide the interface to the user. Any questions so far? Okay. So how the tool works. So the tool, we need to create a file, a plugin, which extends the AI function called base class, and it defines the tool's capabilities, and we give some information to it, what it does, and the code that has to run. It goes in your custom module, under plugin, AI function call, and then the name of your tool. It has the attribute at the beginning, so we give it an ID, a function name, a name, and the description. The description is the one that description will be read by the agent to understand what this tool does. And then we have the group. Basically, we can categorize it, so it can be information, modification, or an agent action. And then we have the context definition. Here is where we can pass variables to the tool. So from the prompt, the LLM will extract the context that it needs, and it will pass it as a string or as another type to the function. Then we have the method execute, and this basically execute your code. That can be something inside Drupal or outside the Drupal, calling an external service. Then we had the get readable output in the same class that basically is outputting successful messages or just a message for the agent or for another tool to be used. So let's try to create one. So we're going to create a tool that is going to edit the site configuration, just a simple tool. So first of all, we need to understand what it has to do. So we want it to just edit the site configuration. And we want the config name and the config value as a context. Then in the execute, we'll add basically we'll call the service to edit the configuration, and then we'll output a success message on the get readable output. So let's start. So first of all, we have the tool attribute. So we have here the function call, the attribute. We have the ID, the function name, the name, and also the description. So edits the site configuration. We group it into modification tool, and then we define the context definition in the next slide. So from here, we can see that we have the config name. So we have the string, the configuration name, and the description. Same thing for the value here. These will be variables that will be passed to the function. So after that, we can go. We have our create method, the construct, and we can use here dependency injection. So I'm getting the config factory and the current user. I'm getting the current user because then in the execute function, we can check the permission. We can see if the user that is using the tool can edit the site configuration. After that, we can get the config name and the config value from the context, and we check if they are empty or not. And after that, always in our execute function, we can update the configuration. And then we can send the response back with the success message here in this case. And we send it back to the get readable output. That's a simple function to return the string. So this is a simple tool that now can be used by agents, and then they can be used by assistant, and then through the chatbot, the user can edit the configuration. Before we go into the agents and in the assistant, we're going to create, we're going to test the tool. So there is this nice explorer, so we can use the tool explorer to test our tool. So we have this form where we can select the tool or the agent that we have created. We can pass the value that we want, and we can test it straight directly there. So if we go here to the AI API Explorer, down here we have Tool Explorer, and inside we have the form. When you select the tool you want to use from here. You can pass the name and the value. Then you run the function and you get the success message. And it works. Basically, it's already changing the site configuration in this case. So before, again, we go to the agent and to the assistant, we want to create the other tools in this case. So we're going to create an event management agent that automatically generates event with title, date, and description. And it also creates a matching entry on our Google Calendar, all from a single prompt. So what we need one tool to create the content event, one tool to create the Google Calendar event, one agent that combines both tool and orchestrated workflow, and one assistant that we use the agent, and then through deep chat block we can let the user use our assistant. So let's start. So we break down first the create node event tool. So we want the event title, the event description, a start date, and an event date. And then again, in our execute function, we will basically create the nodes. And in the get readable output, we can send a message to the agent that will pass this message to the calendar tool.
So there's no magic in the tools, right?
There is some magic, though, but there is not. I mean, you need to write lots of code if you want the agent to work. So the tools, there is no magic. The tool is basically a function. So you're just writing code as you do usually in Drupal, but instead of using it from a UI, so from like clicking buttons, you're just telling the agent what to do, and it will do it for you. So we start with create a node event. So we have the ID, we have the function name, we have the name of the tool, the description, create node event, and then the group. And in the context definition, I need to define the 4 variables that I need: title, description, start date, and end date. So here we have the title, which is a string, and then the description, which is also a string, is just a copy of this with different title and description, and the same thing for the date. So the start date I'm passing as a string because the Drupal field date accepts strings, so I need to pass it as a string. And the end date is the same as the start date. So once that is done, I will, in our construct, I will use the entity type manager and again the current user, because I want to see if the user in our execute function has the permission to create events content. Then I will collect the data from the context. I will check if they are empty or not. And after that, I can then go and create the content. So I create the node object, the entity manager, the entity object, and then I set the fields, then I save it, and if it goes well, then I will return the success message to the agent. After that, now I'll create and then I will return it with the get readable output. Then I will use the tool explorer to check if it works. So as you see here, I'm using the data in this format because the tool has to receive. It doesn't do any magic with the data. You have to pass the data as you want it there, or unless you want to do some manipulation inside the execute function. So I'm passing the start date, the end date, and the title, and then it says here that has created the title with those data, and the title is the content is there. So after that, we can go and create the Google Calendar event. So again, we need the same fields. So we're going to have the event title, description, start date, and end date. In our execute function, we will basically make a call to Google to create the calendar event, and then in the get readable output, we'll get a success message as a string. So we go in our function call, similar to the previous one. We have the name, the description, and the group. And the context definition will be basically the same as the event. So I'm not writing here in the slides, but they are basically the same. In my create function, I have here the services I use, so the entity type manager, the current user, and then I'm using a Drupal module to manage the Google Calendar, to connect to it. And in my function, then I will check that everything works fine, that all the fields have been set, and then I can call the calendar entity that I store with all the data, with the calendar ID and with all data about my calendar. I get the calendar ID, and then I get the calendar time zone from Google, and then I use their function to create an event in Google Calendar. And then I set the response that event has been created in a Google Calendar. And I test it in the Tool Explorer. So I pass the similar data to the previous one. The Google wants the date in this format as well. So I run the function, and it creates the entry in the Google Calendar. So the tool works, both of them. Now what we need to do, we need to add the tools to an agent. So we don't need to go to the Tools Explorer and add the data manually. So what we need to do, we need to create a new agent. New agent wants a label, a description of what it basically does, and then we need to choose a type, if it's a swarm or project management, depending on the task. For this one, I'm going to use project management. Then we see how many loops can do, so how many time he has to check if he has accomplished the tasks. So we give this number because we don't want it to run like 20, 30 times, but we can set to 5, 10, or it can even run forever. Then we have the system prompt. So here there are the instruction of what this agent must do. So for example, we can say that he has to create the content, then after that he has to create the calendar event, and then output a message. And then we can give a list of tools that he has to use. So from a form point of view, so we have the label, we have the description of what he does. Then we set project manager, we set the max loop, and then new functionality will be available soon is the agent role masquerading. So you can masquerade as another user. And then we have the usage details. The usage details contained the system prompt, the default information, and the tools that it's going to use. So in the system prompt, here is where basically we tell the agent what he has to do. And then based on this one, he will choose the tools that we're going to assign. So you're an agent that creates nodes event. You need the title, the description, and date. The date should be in this format because in our tool, we want the date in this format. So if the user enters, for example, I don't know, 27 of March, 27 as number, March as letters, then it will convert it into this format. Once the node has been created, use the same title, description, and date to create a Google Calendar event, passing the same format. Return a success message with the with title and human readable date in this format. So then we can provide some default information to the tools. At the moment, we can provide just YAML, but with this will be done better. We can just select and give more information, and then we can assign the tools. So inside tools, we have different categories, as we saw. So we have the Drupal core action, the modification tool, the information tool, and the sub-agent tools. So these could be other agents that have been created through the UI, or other agents that has been created with the old plugin, with the current plugin method. So we want to have the modification tools. So we go here and we select the two tools that we want to use. So create Google Calendar event and create a node event. So after that, we go to the AI Agent Explorer, and we can now test our agent. So we pass the prompt, so what he has to do. So I want to create a new event that will be about a Drupal camp in Rome where people can connect. It will be an amazing session and get food. We pass a date in this format, and then we run the agent, and the agent will then start choosing which tools he has to use to accomplish the job, in which order, and then we return the response. So in this format here, and saying that has been added both node and to your Google Calendar. So once this is done, we can go and create an AI assistant. So the assistant, basically, we need to give a label. We say this is enable, the instruction, and then the administrative instruction for the other users. And then under the agent action, we can select our agent. We can select multiple agents that can then use multiple tools, but at the moment we just keep one. Then once it's been created, we can add the chatbot block. So it's the AI deep chat chatbot. We give a name, and then we select the assistant that we created, and then we can choose if we want add some message settings, styling settings. These will be seen in the demo. And after that, we have the block here. We can ask the same question, and then the AI, the assistant will return with a better message than the agent with those with what has been completed. So, demo time. I will show a video on how it works. All right, I'll go through now the configuration. Here is where we have the keys, where we create the OpenAI key. Sorry. Here are the default settings of the AI module. So here you can decide which provider you can use depending on the action that you want to do. So in this case, for example, for embeddings, I'm using OpenAI. But if you have multiple providers, you can choose the best provider for the job. Then we have here the API Explorer, where you can test all the tools that we have here, plus all the other functionality from the AI module. Here you can see you can select the tools. Here are all the tools that are available for the agent. Then when you select, you see the form. Then here there is a provider settings. So when I added the key, I added it in here for the OpenAI. And then here is the AI settings. So here there are all the agents that have been created. So this from plugin, as you can see. So the current method, and this some test, and this is the new configuration that we use. So when you create a new plugin from this page, then it will show us configuration. So we can go and edit our event creation, and see here we have our data with the loops here. And then here we have the masquerading, so we can masquerade under these roles. And then here we got the same prompt as before. The information, and then down here, all the sorry. And down there, all the tools, sub the agent. So this is the agent plugin and other agent config. And here we got all the Drupal core actions. Here we have the modification tool with these three. So for my demo, I also added the site config that we created. So just to show that when we call this agent, it will not use the site config tool if we need to create a node event and a Google Calendar event. We can also test the tools directly from there by clicking test. Here we have the information tools if we want to get some information from our Drupal application. And here we can provide some restriction on the property that they're going to be passed from the LLM to our tool. This is the Agent Explorer, so we can go from the same page. So here I'm going to now test it. So I'm going to create this event on the 27th of March 2025 from this time to this time. So now it's starting. From here, we can see which tool has used. So as we can see, it has used the agent create node event and the Google Calendar event with the description and everything, with all the context. And here is the response. And this is the final response that usually are the same with the status and the response. Now we can go and see that the content has been created. And in our Google Calendar, we also have the same thing here. So now we need to create the assistant. So we go back. We go to the AI assistant. I already have my assistant Drupal Con agent, or you can add it from there. Click edit. Here is the instruction. the agent that can use. So I'm select the event agent. Here we can have the history, so the memory of the conversation, and how much conversation we can store, which provider we're going to use, which model, number of tokens, temperature, and other configuration here. Then we go to structure. Once it's been created, block layout. And down in the content section, I have the Drupal Content Assistant block. We do the configuration. We select the assistant. And from the message setting, I can add the first message that is going to show. I can give the name to the both. Then I can have some style setting. And then again, advanced setting. If you want to stream the message in real time. So once this is done, we can go to the home page, for example. And here we have our both. So I'm going to paste the same prompt as I've done before. I'm going to change the date. And I've done the change before here. And now at the moment is basically deciding which tool is going to use, create the node event, and create the calendar event. So the event has been created. Now refresh this page, and I can see that there is another Drupal camp there. And in my Google Calendar, there is another entry here. Okay. Sorry. It gets stuck a second. Does it work? No. Let me. Oops. My computer got stuck, sorry. The worst thing that can happen.
You've done great until now, so don't worry.
Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. Now I got some slide and then the actual live event for migration. So let me see if I can. Is any of you understand about computers? And no. I'm trying to do the ask command, but I don't know why. All right. Anyway, there was some. Okay. Okay. Just give me a minute. Doesn't. Okay. Can't go back there. Every time that I connected, then is breaks. Well, okay. Me restart it if I can. I got the last 10 minutes. You got any questions so far? Yes.
If the node event creator, for example, you have a try catch.
Yes.
If an exception is thrown, do you short circuit
Yes, yeah. So basically, in my code, I was basically returning the response from there with the error message.
So will that pass on to the next tool, or will
Uh,
it to short circuit the
it depends on the error. If something is missing or there is some error with the connection, then the LLM will go back to the user, showing the error message. Any other question? Yes.
Is it able to ask for more information you might be missing?
Yes. Yes. So yes.
What's the date?
Yes, so for example, it knows about the context that the tools has to receive. So if I pass, for example, just the title without the date, then the agent will go back with the user with some questions. So this is the really strength of the agent. They know how to manage the task, and they will do everything to accomplish it, even asking more questions to the user, or like finding alternative solution as well, or just reprompting, changing the prompt, and all the information that we have. Yes.
I hate this part, but there's a whole bunch of modules. Do you have any clue about whether they're going to stay separate modules or like work towards consolidating into like one thing? And then because there's so many modules, are they operating under the permissions of the user that's triggering them, or their own separate roles?
There are a few level of permissions. So one is at the tool level, so where you can set the permission if the user can actually use that tool, and then you have the level of permission on the assistant as well, and on the agent. So you can set different level of permissions, and also the agent can masquerade as another user. So even if the user doesn't have permissions to do something, it will masquerade as another user and then accomplish the task. So for example, a normal user cannot create, let's say, an event in Drupal, but if they want to book an appointment, then the agent will behave on another role and create the event for the user. So the computer is back. Let's see if I can. Is there any other question? Yes.
So in that example you had up there, was the tool responsible for, authenticating with, or checking if you're authenticated with Google for the calendar?
No, it's not checking, because with that module, the Google service module, you create an entity with your calendar details, so your ID, the calendar ID, and automatically gives the permission to the system to connect to Drupal calendar. So one thing that can be done with that that calendar, with this basically agent, you can also check if there are events at the time in your calendar, and maybe come back with a suggestion with another day or another time. So that's something that you can do with agents. Let me see if it works again now. Any other question? Yes.
So there was a page where there were options to set default models for certain things.
Yeah.
And also on the Explorer page, there was an option to choose a model.
Yes.
So what's the difference?
The difference is basically the AI modules is a LLM agnostic, so is not attached to any provider in particular. So there are different modules that you can use to use your provider. So there is the module for Anthropic, the module for OpenAI, the modules for Llama, and then you can add your LLM. And the difference then will be that in general, in the default configuration, you can set one provider, but then if you want, for example, to test in your Explorer how it will work with another provider, you can do it there rather than deploying into dev and checking. So that's why you can choose at different level, even on the assistant level. I think you can choose. The assistant level you can also change it and use another provider rather than the default.
So if I've already chosen a default model,
Yes.
on the Explorer page, if I choose a different model, then would it like assume that for that specific query,
Yes.
that's the model that needs to
Yes.
work with?
Yes. For
But
that.
then on the assistant page, which is like the chatbot, it would choose the default one?
No, if you choose a different one in the assistant, then the chatbot will get the assistant provider. So you can choose.
On the Explorer page, it will specifically work with
Yes, yes. And also so if you choose in Assistant, if you choose a different provider, it will work in the Explorer and in the chatbot as well. Yeah. So I think you're referring to. Oh, it's not here. It was in the demo, so down there. Yep. Any other question? Okay. So this is the useful link. So we have the link to the AI module, and then the OpenAI provider that I use, the Drupal agent. So this is the module, the Drupal agent. This is the Google Calendar service that I use to connect to my Google Calendar. This is the article of Anthropic explaining how you can build effective agents. And this is the interview from the CEO of Anthropic. This is a YouTube channel. He explained also really well the agents. And this then is a course from deep learning regarding generative AI. So it has all different levels from prompt engineering to RAG, and then LangChain course and agents as well. And then there is the AI video from Marcus, Workflow of AI. And what you can see that everything that he does, then he published into the site. Yes?
Are you gonna, how do you get your slides?
I think I will be able to upload it to DrupalCon site. I need to check with them, but I will share it all through LinkedIn or from somewhere else. We'll find a way to provide you the slides. And then some contacts. So this is my LinkedIn and my Drupal Slack handle, and this is also for Marcus and Jamie on Drupal Slack. There are a few channels that you can use. So is #AI and #AI contrib if you want to contribute to the AI module. And again, here you can see better the site video from Marcus. And then you can join the channel, and then you can participate. We have a bi-weekly call on the AI contrib on Thursday for Slack meeting. Q&A. And all right, if you don't have any, we got any other questions? Yes?
Session description said something about migration? Or
Yeah, so basically with the latest changes, the migration is not really working well, so it breaks. So I was going to show, but if I can, let me see if I can do something. Sorry, because it's breaking again. Every time I open, okay. Anytime I open PHP Storm, then it gets stuck here. So yeah, so anyway, when I was trying the migration the last few days, it basically was running out of token. So that's why the token management is important. And I was able to create the content type and import a few fields from a site. So there is the module now. Cannot see, but within the agent module, you have the form. I think it's called AI form workflow, where you can basically add a URL, and then it will scrape the site and get all the information to basically then create a content types and taxonomy, etc. Any other question? All right, thank you.